Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Sama Veda Bhakti Tagore Premanande
Haribo.
All glories to Sama
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sama
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sama
Hare
All
Krishna.
glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Nam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasim Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhakti Naistiki. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
What verse?
50.
50? Garantara Shrimadbhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Reading from Canto 1, Chapter 8, text number 50. Title of the chapter, Prayers by Queen Kunti. Naina Rachna Prajabortir Dharma Yudevado Visham Iti Mena Tu Buddhaya Kalpate Shasanam Vachaha Naina Rachna Prajabortir Dharma Yudevado Visham Iti Mena Tu Bodhaya Kalpate Shasanam Vachaha Naina Rajna Prajabortir Dharma Yudevado Dvisham Iti Mena Tu Bodhaya Kalpate Shasanam Vachaha
Naino Rajna Prajavartur
Naina Rajna Prajabortir
Dharma Yudevado Visham
Dharma Yudevado Visham
Iti Mena Tu Bodhaya Kalpate Shasanam Vacha Naino Rajna Prajavartur Dharma Yudevado Visham Iti Mena Tu Bodhaya Kalpate Shasanam Vacha
Na
No.
Never
Never.
Ina
Ina.
Sins
Sins.
Rajna
Rajna.
of the king
Of the king.
Prajavartu
Raja.
of one who is engaged in the maintenance of the citizens
One who is engaged in the maintenance of the citizens.
Dharma
Dharma.
for the right cause
For the right cause.
Yude in the light in the fight
In the fight.
Vada
Without
killing
killing.
Visham
Visham.
of the enemies
Of the enemies.
Iti all these
Of these.
may
Nay.
for me
For me.
not
Not.
never
Never.
two
Two.
but
But.
Bodhaya
Bodhaya.
for the satisfaction
For satisfaction.
Kalpate
Kalpate.
they are meant for administration
They are meant for administration.
Shasanam
Shasanam.
injunction
Injunction.
Vacha
Vacha.
words of
Words of.
translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, who is engaged in maintaining his citizens. But this injunction is not applicable to me. Please repeat. There is no sin.
There is no sin
For a king
for a king
who kills
who kills
for the right cause,
for the right cause,
who is engaged in
who is engaged in
maintaining his citizens.
maintaining his citizens.
But this injunction
But this injunction
is not applicable
is not applicable
to me.
to me.
Purport. Maharaj Yudhishthira thought that although he was not actually involved in administration of the kingdom, which was being carried on well by Duryodhana without harm to the citizens, he caused the killing of so many living beings only for his personal gain of the kingdom from the hands of Duryodhana. The killing was committed not in a course of administration, but for the sake of self-aggrandizement. And as such, he thought himself responsible for all the sins. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Mitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parinanasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Mitamstra He Krishna Karunasindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Rapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Kriya Vajja Kalpa Trubhyascha Kupasindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Suryavari Paschati Deshakarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare. Just repeating the verse. There is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, who is engaged in maintaining his citizens. But this injunction is not applicable to me. So who is speaking this verse? Yudhishthira Maharaj. So, we're in this chapter entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti. So Queen Kunti has concluded her prayers, and very sweet prayers, and very powerful prayers, and very instructive prayers. And after concluding her prayers, she, requested Krishna Bhagavan to stay a few more days in Hastinapur. But he said, no, I have to go back to Dwarka. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj speaks, and he asks Krishna, how you stay? And Krishna complies and agrees, indicating the greatness of the devotion of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj is the great, and we can say greatest king in our civilization. He is Dharmaraj. He upholds the social order, the moral order to perfection. And he exhibits the best qualities of leadership. If one wants to be a leader in anything, leader in a household, leader in a community, in a country, or the world, one should follow the example of Yudhishthira Maharaj. He exhibits really the perfection of leadership. And you can see here in this regard. So he is lamenting that he has engaged in warfare in which many, many people die. How many people? 640 million people. To put that in context, that's roughly, approximately, twice the population of the United States. Killed in 18 days.
Okay, wow.
In one locality of Kurukshetra. So we can say this is the largest battle in the history of mankind. And then no other battle has 640 million soldiers perished. So that's not something to be proud of or to celebrate. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling great pain that so many lives have been lost. This is the nature of the living entity. The nature of the living entity is to be compassionate to others, to feel the pain of others. This is the nature, because that nature exists purely in our Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Shri Krishna. And because we are His part and parcel, we also carry these similar qualities. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling the pain, from seeing that so many lives have perished. And he says that this is not done under a just cause. So the king, in his capacity to be ruler, there are times when war or the killing of another is justified. And not only justified, you can say is required. Required for the benefit of society. The example being, if there is a rogue criminal who is wreaking havoc in society and is murdering people, innocent, people, that person must be removed from society to prevent further disturbances. So out of the capacity as a ruler, the king's duty is to kill. But the king's duty is not to kill indiscriminately. I don't like this person. This person is posting on social media bad things about me. Okay, I can kill them. No. So the Manu Samhita, it gives guidelines in injunctions when it is just to kill and when it is not. So there are shastric, scriptural guidelines that must be followed. And when those are followed, then there is no sin to the king, because the king is doing his duty. And the primary duty of the king is what?
Protect citizens.
Protect
citizens.
Protect society. For what purpose?
So they can be Krishna conscious.
Yes.
Well-being.
So they can,
What is well-being?
In terms of both physical and spiritual.
Both?
Physical, mental, and spiritual.
yeah.
The only duty of the king is to deliver his citizens back to Godhead. That is the duty of the king. The king has been given a very powerful responsibility to deliver the citizens back to God. So the king's responsibility is to create a societal structure in their kingdom in which things are very peaceful and cooperative. Yes, where all the physical needs are met. Why? So that there will be peace in society, so that people can take to the real purpose of life, which is to go back home, back to God. That is the duty of the king. Not to amass more land, more treasury, more palaces for one's own sense enjoyment or power. But one acquires more land, more facilities. To be able to deliver more living entities. And the king is not compassionate just to the humans, but to all living entities in their kingdom. And thus they have a great responsibility and obligation. And if a king is not successful, the king takes on a portion of the sins incurred by the citizens. Because the king is responsible for ensuring that righteousness prevails in their kingdom. So if they're not able to do so, they have to suffer the sins that are incurred by their citizens. Not only their own, but that of their citizens. So it's a very big position. And it comes with huge responsibilities. And one must be very, very careful and thoughtful about performing the activities of the king. So here Yudhishthira Maharaj is lamenting that there is no sin for one who kills for right cause. But he's saying this injunction, important. This is a scriptural injunction. It is not based on one's own whimsical idea of what is right and wrong. But he's saying the injunction is not applicable to me. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying that if the injunction is there, but it doesn't apply to me. Why? Because he's saying that Duryodhana is the king, and he was ruling nicely for the well-being of others. So I had no right to engage in this warfare just so that I could be king. Now see the quality of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Is he eager to assume the throne? Is he anxious to have the power that resides within the position of king? Is he willing to engage in political warfare to acquire the throne? No. He is saying the kingdom is being run fine. There's no need for me to. Now, do we see this consciousness in today's leaders? There is strong eagerness to acquire power and ruling capacity. Not driven by the desire to deliver the citizens back home to Godhead, but to amass power, fame, whatever the motive is. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying this. Now, see Yudhishthira Maharaj's quality. Who engaged Yudhishthira Maharaj in this war? Who told him to fight this war? Duryodhana told him? Why would Duryodhana tell him, hey, fight me in this war? Huh? Krishna told him. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So if Krishna told him to fight this war, how can there be any anything wrong? How can there be any sin involved in the action? 640 million people died. It's the most glorious of glorious things. Why? Because Krishna orchestrated it. Krishna orchestrated it. What happened? Why it's glorious? 640 million people were delivered back home to Godhead.
Oh, okay.
Is that glorious?
Yes.
Why? Because Krishna was present.
Okay.
And that happened on Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. So the body, the material body, is nothing to be whimsical about. But the body is not of concern. The soul is of concern. But Krishna told Yudhishthira to fight this war. So now how then he could think like this? Is Yudhishthira Maharaj not understanding that the absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna? Does he not understand the fact that if Krishna says something, that trumps all other injunctions? If the scriptures say one thing and Krishna says something else, which is to be followed?
Whatever Krishna says.
Whatever Krishna says. We gave this example, Srila Prabhupada gives this example all the time. Just like if there is a traffic light and it says red, what are you to do?
Stop.
Stop. If you don't stop, you'll get a ticket. You'll have broken the law, right? But if there's a police officer at that intersection saying go,
You have to go.
what do you have to do?
You have to go.
You say, no, it's red. Your laws say red means stop. Police officer say, no, but my position here gives me authority over that traffic light. So similarly, Shastra is the authority. But when Krishna speaks, he is the supreme authority. And there may be times when he may, for right reason, go in a different way. Just like the police officer may say go, even though the rule is to stop. Krishna has that authority. He's a supreme. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is confused. So Srila Prabhupada comments in some of the previous purports that Yudhishthira Maharaj was not confused about his duty. He was put into delusion by Krishna. Why? Krishna could have easily dispelled Yudhishthira Maharaj's confusion, right? He dispels Arjuna's confusion in Bhagavad Gita. So much so that Arjuna ends the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, I am now ready to follow as you say, Krishna Vashanam Tava. I am ready to follow. Because he dispelled his illusion. Well, Yudhishthira Maharaj was there also when Krishna was speaking to Arjuna. But Krishna had a greater plan. You know, what was his greater plan? He wanted to glorify Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev is lying on a bed of arrows in Kurukshetra. Just 1 kilometer from where Krishna spoke to Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita, Bhishma Dev is lying on a bed of arrows. And Krishna knows that Bhishma Dev is great devotee. And so to glorify Bhishma Dev in the presence of all assembled sages and great personalities, he is going to take Yudhishthira Maharaj to Bhishma Dev and say, Bhishma Dev, you speak to Yudhishthira Maharaj and give him clarity of purpose. And that is actually the next chapter that we'll read. And it's a glorious chapter, the passing of Bhishma Dev. Because we'll see that in Bhishma Dev's activities, he does things that seemingly contradict devotional service. He's going to attack Krishna. How is that devotional service? He is going to make Krishna lie, break his vow. How? By attacking Krishna's devotee. How that is bhakti? You're going to see how Bhishma Dev's actions, he is fighting on the side of Duryodhana. How Bhishma Dev could not see that Duryodhana was crooked, was a sinful person, and how he could have taken a position against Krishna and the Pandavas. So these things make Bhishma Dev seemingly, wow, what kind of character this is. But we're going to see in this next chapter how this actually, everything Bhishma Dev did was to glorify Krishna. And Krishna is reciprocating with Bhishma Dev by taking Yudhishthira Maharaj to Bhishma Dev to clear his doubt. Was Krishna not capable of clearing Yudhishthira Maharaj's doubt? Of course he was. But Krishna is always anxious to enhance the glory of his devotees. And what are the devotees anxious for? Glorifying Krishna. This is the two-way street of bhakti. Reciprocation. The devotees are anxious to glorify Krishna. And Krishna is anxious to glorify his devotees. And the most glorious of his devotees is Yudhishthira Maharaj. Because been given the order to kill, he still thinks himself not the rightful king to rule. The best leaders are reluctant leaders. Leaders who don't lead out of the desire for position, but lead out of the sense of responsibility. That they lead for the purpose of service. You know, so much is written today in our modern management textbooks about servant leadership. Leadership in the 40s and 50s and 60s, all the so-called business pundits, they wrote about leadership being very authoritarian. Following World War I and World War II, there were many great military leaders, and that nature of leadership was brought into corporate America. And it was very authoritarian, very hierarchical, top-down leadership. And after some run of this style of leadership, it failed. And what came forward? This principle of servant leader. That a leader must lead as a service. A service to those that they are leading. So now everyone is talking about servant leadership. But where servant leadership originated? Here, Yudhishthira Maharaj. He is the original servant leader. Because he is leading not out of desire for position or fame or power. He is leading because he has been asked to lead and is doing it as a service to his Lord. And in that consciousness, he exhibits the greatest leadership qualities. That when one leads out of care for the people he is leading, putting their success and progress above his own. Leading by example. All these principles today, they are ancient principles. It is just so-called pundits are now understanding what was stated eternally in Shrimadbhagavatam. And you'll see this throughout Shrimadbhagavatam. There is nothing in modern society that is speaking on the progress of society that doesn't originate in Shrimadbhagavatam. The real formula is here. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is serving as this perfect example of leadership. He is reluctant. He is not anxious for the position, but he's willing to do it as a service. And his position is the decisions he's going to make as a leader is going to be based on Shastra and not his own whims. And thus, because the injunction here to kill is not, he doesn't see applicable to him, he says this war is my fault. Of course, he's not correct. And so, in the coming verses, we must be approaching the end of this chapter. Yes, 2 more verses. And then we'll get to chapter 9, the passing way of Bhishma Dev in the presence of Lord Krishna. And we'll see instructions from Bhishma Dev to Yudhishthira Maharaj for the purpose I spoke about earlier. And we'll see how that transpires. So this is just a little bit on this position of Maharaj Yudhishthira. One maybe final comment I'll make. I kind of talked about it earlier, but just to make sure that I'm not lost. The king has a great responsibility. See, in the human form of life is the only form of life. There are 8.4 million species of life. Only the human form of life has the concept of karma. So only in the human form of life do we acquire karma, either good karma or bad karma. Meaning, there is a reaction for every action that we have. That's karma. If I do something good, some good reactions come. Something bad, some bad reactions come. That only applies to humans. When the tiger kills in the jungle, there's no sin. When the ant comes and steals a piece of sugar from the table, there's no sin. So why is that the case? Because in the human form of life, the humans are gifted with this intelligence, this higher intelligence, to understand right from wrong. Because one has greater facilities, there is a greater responsibility. And so the more facilities one has, the more responsibility one has. The human, having this facility of higher intelligence, has the responsibility to act according to Shastra, not according to one's own desire. And if you do, you'll be protected. If you don't, you'll have to suffer your karmic reactions. The choice is yours. But that's it. So as it would now within the human race, as one acquires more facilities, oh, I've got this position, power, I am now head of this department, I am now this president, that comes with even greater responsibility. Greater responsibility. To use those facilities properly. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, being king, knows that in the position of king, there is a huge responsibility. And if he misuses it, he will become subjected to huge amounts of sinful reactions. So one must be very careful in that position. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is showing that consciousness through his actions. Okay? So I'll end there. Grantharaj Shrimadbhagavatam ki. Any discussion, comments, questions? Yes?
Why did Krishna want him to go to war with those 600 million people?
It's a great question. And the questions, like this are always for us to understand. We know the war was perfect. And it was the absolute best thing to do. We know that for one reason only. Why? Because Krishna wanted it. And everything Krishna does is perfect. So our inquiry can be now, okay, to understand how is it perfect, right? So, because sometimes we can say, did Krishna make a mistake? Well, then that would be to doubt the perfection of the Supreme Lord, right? So our position is to understand why Krishna wanted this. So there are many reasons. First, if we go back to the beginning, before Krishna appeared, right? What was happening was that the earth was becoming overrun by unscrupulous personalities who were creating great disturbances in society. And he was asked by the Devatas, through Lord Brahma, to please come and rid the burden of this earth from these unscrupulous people. Great demoniac kings were present who were, not behaving and creating disruption in society. So Krishna said, okay, and I'll arrange this battle. And in this battle, all these demoniac kings will assemble, and in one fell swoop, the earth will be liberated. That's part of the story. Now remember, when Krishna eliminates somebody, he gives them the greatest of benedictions. Because when Krishna is telling Arjuna, you should fight and kill Duryodhana, Arjuna is thinking, I can't kill my cousin brother. But Krishna is telling Arjuna that Duryodhana has committed so many sinful acts. He has committed so many sinful acts, right? Because he has tried to murder, he has abducted a wife, he has stolen, he has done every possible. So what's waiting for him? So much sinful reactions. So many sinful reactions. That means future suffering. Huge amounts of suffering is waiting for you. So Krishna tells Arjuna, you can immediately relieve him of this future suffering. Does that sound like a good thing to do? If someone has got years of suffering ahead of them, and we can relieve them of that, should we try? Yeah. That'd be nice. That's compassion. That's real compassion. So what Arjuna has to do? He has to kill Duryodhana. What? How that's compassion? That's compassion for the soul. This body, as we saw earlier in these verses, is meant to be enjoyed by others. This body is not meant for anything else but to serve others. That's the purpose of this body. And this body is temporary. It's going to die. We came into this world without this body, and we're going to leave this world without this body. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that if you kill Duryodhana, you kill his body, you're not killing his soul. But what you're doing is you're relieving the soul of its future suffering and opening the doors to the spiritual world. So by Krishna assembling this battle, he actually was liberating all these personalities. He was liberating the earth of the weight of burden of these fallen people. And he was also liberating these individuals. So when there is disturbance in society, Krishna comes. Right? Paritanaya sadhanam vinashaya dushkritam. He destroys the miscreants. So because of that, Krishna had sanctioned this war. And to re-establish dharma samsthapanarthaya, to re-establish dharma, the right order, this war was just. Now, he could have done it so many other ways, right? He could have just, and all these kings would have been gone. That would have been easy. But then we wouldn't have heard Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
And these great Pandavas would not have gotten credit for winning the battle. We would not have learned the lessons of righteousness without the power of Krishna, right? We had 18 Aksharunis on the battlefield. But which side had more warriors? Kauravas. But who won? Because Krishna was there. So all these lessons we learn also are there. So when Krishna does something, there are many, many reasons. It's multifaceted, the purpose behind his action. And so that's why, some of the reasons why this war was orchestrated by the Supreme Lord. And ultimately this war was the pinnacle of a decades-long battle between Duryodhana and the Pandavas. And the climax of that was this battle. And that whole drama was created so that we would pay attention to the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna had already spoken the Bhagavad Gita so many times, but it was not gaining prominence for its content. But through this drama and battle of intrigue, the Bhagavad Gita became the epicenter of that, and thus we have the benefits of many of those reasons why this battle was fought. You had a question?
Yes. Thanks for the class, Prabhu. You said the responsibility of king is to deliver his souls. So how is it differing from spiritual master and the king?
Yeah, so the king responsibility is to, as a Kshatriya, protect the Brahmanas and put the Brahmanas in the position to be able to guide and instruct. So the king knows, I cannot deliver my citizens, but I have to create the environment by which the gurus have opportunity to freely, preach their mission. And I have to create a situation in which the citizens are eager to hear from the spiritual master.
He facilitates the...
So they're the facilitator, right? Just like, you can think like the school administrator. They're not teaching the students, but they are creating the environment, the circumstance where teaching can happen. So like that, the king is like that administrator to arrange the circumstances. What do we see today? Complete opposite. Leaders, they are ripping faith, religion out of the teachings to our children. And we're growing up a faithless society with no morals, no principles. Our own concoction idea of what is right and what is wrong. It's disastrous for society.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you. Shrimadbhagavatam, Grantara Shrimadbhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki.